book is called Molly Moon, Micky Minus in a Mind Machine by Georgia Bing. This book is a sequel to Molly Moon's Hypnotic Time Travel Adventure. And if you haven't watched the last 3 book reviews yet, definitely watch those because you're going to need it. So after Molly comes back from her little time traveling adventure, she learns something devastating. It turns out that since twins run in the family, Cornelius Logan is actually Lucy Logan's twin. Because since twins run in the family, it turns out that Molly also has a twin brother. So Molly Moon was determined to find that brother, and she went back into time to when they were first born, and she inspected closely at her brother, and it turns out some tuxedoed man suddenly came in and wiped all of the nurses' history about Molly's brother. I'll just call him Micky Minus. So the tuxedoed man took Micky Minus and fast forwarded hundreds of years into the future. Of course, Molly also followed that man, and hundreds of years later, the ruler of the empire then was someone called Princess Fang. Yes, she was a princess. So what they did with Micky was they raised him for 11 years and taught him hypnotism, since apparently hypnosis runs in the family. So until then, Molly thought that Micky was nice, just like her, very helpful. But it turns out that Princess Fang is a jerk, and she's also very mean but smart. So since Micky was living with Princess Fang for literally 11 years, of course Micky would also be evil. So until then, Molly thought that he was nice, but it turns out they're caught because they underestimated the future mechanics of how everything in the future works. So they were immediately caught, and they were handcuffed and sat in a chair. And all of Molly's time travel crystals and everything were shaken out of her body, and she was blinded, so she couldn't see and hypnotize anybody. So since Molly thought that Micky was a nice guy, Molly tried to persuade Micky that she was his sister, but of course, it didn't work. Molly realized too late that Micky was evil, right after Micky hypnotized Rocky, who also came along for the ride, to be their side. So now that Rocky's gone, and Molly is literally just handcuffed in a sitting deuce, what they do is they put some kind of silver dome on top of her head, which is apparently called the Mind Machine, and they suck all her hypnotic powers out. Everything. Time traveling, time stopping, hypnosis, everything. She can't remember a thing. So Molly is pretty much devastated because she can't do anything, and she's stuck in that time, and she's going to be executed a few days later. But it turns out she also found out she had a special power, just as she was about to lose all hope. And she realized that she can read minds if she concentrated real hard on some kind of animal like Petula. A thought bubble thingy appears on top of a creature's head, and it shows them what they're thinking. So, but that was not exactly the best thing. That wasn't exactly that good of a weapon to defeat Princess Fang and all of the Empire. So Molly was also pretty helpless. But one day, the only sane person, the only nice person in that entire time, called Nurse Meekles, helped Molly out. In nighttime, when Molly was about to go to bed, Nurse Meekles said that tomorrow morning, wake up early. I'll show you something. So Molly did. And it turns out that while Micky was sleeping, Nurse Meekles had tied him up and handcuffed him and gagged him and blinded him so he couldn't do anything. And they put the silver dome on top of his head, and sucked all of his hypnotic powers out. So they did the exact same thing of what they did to Molly. Now, Molly and Micky, who was handcuffed, escaped. And while they were escaping, they met some friends. And it turns out that we're like 10 friends. It turns out they used to be the king and queen of the entire kingdom, but Princess Fang took over, and they were injected with some kind of thing, which made them half human, half animal. And then Princess Fang started to call them mutants. So it's outrageous. And Molly Moon that day, Molly Moon also managed to convince Micky Minus that he was his sister, because on the day that Molly was spying on Micky and and seeing if anyone stole him, Molly took a tag from his wrist showing where he came from and who he was related to, and it showed Molly Moon. So eventually Micky was convinced that Molly was his sister, and together with all of their friends, they went to the mind machine room, and Molly concentrated real hard on the mind machine, and she managed to extract all the knowledge of herself out of the mind machine, and she implemented that all into her brain. And she also restored Micky's hypnosis too. So all Molly needed to be powerful was her crystals. And she hypnotized some random guy who walked into the mind machine room, and hypnotized him and told him to fetch all the crystals. And the man did. So now that Molly had all the crystals and she was completely powerful, she literally wiped out the entire army, and she hypnotized Princess Fang, and she hypnotized Rocky to be her friend again. She hypnotized Princess Fang to no longer be a greedy person and to quit the princess job. So eventually the mutants that Princess Fang called them eventually became the king and queen again. So they went back home and introduced Lucy and Primo to Micky Moon. His name used to be Micky Minus, but Micky changed his name to Micky Moon. The end. So again, I think I am surprised at how creative Georgia Bing could be, and it wouldn't have taken a lot of brainstorming to do something like this. I mean, the fact that it only took a year to make is baffling. I mean, I'm not even sure she's human. How can you make such a wonderful book in 1 year? I do not understand. She is one heck of a person. She's amazing, honestly. So this is the end of my book review today. Subscribe.